Hey, welcome back to the CK Effect. I hope you had an awesome weekend and found a moment to breathe, smile, and just enjoy life, even if it was for a little moment. As always, thank you for tuning in. I'm truly grateful that you're here. Just a quick reminder before we dive in, this podcast that I do, it's a space for real talk, feelings, and real life. What I speak about is my own journey and experience. I'm not saying this is in stone, this is what you need to do. It's just my experiences that I like to share with people. And I think because often we feel like we're alone in this world, but we're not. We've all got our own path, but if any of what I says helps you feel seen or just a little less alone, then that's what this is all about. So today, we're going to talk about friendships, and more importantly, how those friendships change over time, and why it's absolutely okay if your circle gets smaller. How about we go back to when we were kids? Friendships come so easily. You meet someone on the playground. You feel like you like the same color, you hate broccoli, and suddenly you're besties. It's uncomplicated, and we don't overthink it. We're not worried about loyalty or trust, who texts who back. We just connect. Of course, even back then, not every friendship was smooth. Kids can be mean, and really mean. Sometimes we get left out. Sometimes we felt alone. And sometimes friendships hurt. But we didn't necessarily have the emotional tools or language to understand what we needed in a friend. We just knew we wanted someone. Someone to like us, someone to invite us to their house, to play with, and to go out on excursions with. But if we actually fast forward to where we are now in adulthood, this is a whole different ballgame. For me, moving from South Africa to Australia at 16 was such an exciting time, but also an incredibly difficult one. Everyone already had their circles over here, their people, their cliques, and I had to try and find where I fit in. Before we came to Australia, I have two good friends in South Africa who we don't speak all the time, but our connections are still there. We still generally care about what the other's doing. And if we're traveling overseas, we always make sure that we see each other. We basically the first people we see when we get off the plane with the rest of the family. I've always been pretty good at talking to people. I generally love getting to know others, but forming deep, lasting friendships, that was still hard, especially in a new country where I was starting from scratch. Over the years, I've made friends through work, in my neighborhood, and through different seasons of life. But sometimes I've learned, and maybe you've felt this too, is that not everyone who smiles with you is your friend. Sometimes we confuse proximity with connection. We confuse regular catch-ups with real care. I used to think I had a bunch of friends, but I had to learn the hard way that some of them were actually just acquaintances. And you know what? That's okay too. Friendship to me is when you can call someone no matter the hour and they'll be there. No questions asked. It's about consistency, presence, effort, not just when it's convenient. Friendship is also about, growing with your people, adding positive to each other's lives and looking at, what you want to achieve together as well, So for me, when I split from my ex over 10 years ago, I lost more than just a relationship. I also lost my mutual friendship circle. I had a good bunch of women in those circles who we used to hang out with, do dinners with, go motorbike riding with, go weekends away together. So I had a really good circle there. But obviously when the relationship ended, I had a second breakup. I broke up with my friends too. I did try and keep that conversation going with them. I did message. They kept saying we'll catch up, but nothing happened. Suddenly, I was starting from scratch again, rebuilding my social life, trying to find my people. And even though I'm someone who loves meeting new people, I won't lie, it was hard. Making friends as an adult is a completely different experience. We're all busy, we've all got responsibilities, and we've also all been hurt. I moved to a new area after the breakup, where I made some great connections. I still catch up with a few of those friends today, and I truly value them. These people also came to an area where they had to start regaining and making new friends after a breakup. We used to joke and say it's like, if you're divorced, you got to go to Wentworth Point because that's where everyone tries to build their life together again. I've also made friends through work, though we're often to keep Sorry, I've also made friends through work, but often we're told to keep work and personal life separate. But some of the best connections I've started in the workplace, it just depends on how real the friendship is. A few years ago, I got quite sick, and that really highlighted this difference between friends who care and friends who appear to care. Some were there without having to ask, others disappeared, or checked in just enough to ease their own guilt. And look, I didn't see it that way at first, but I've always tried to see the good in people, but hindsight gives clarity. Then Leah and I moved to the coast. I assumed the friendships I had would stay strong, but I also was wrong. People stopped calling, stopped texting. It felt like I had to be the one making all the effort, and I started to get frustrated. Poor Lee, he had to listen to me vent about it constantly. I'd be like, why do I always have to call first? Why do they never check in? Oh, why did they drive past our area to go somewhere else and not letting me know they're going past? Eventually, I had to stop asking, is this friendship or is this obligation? So I did something that felt bold but necessary. I went through my Facebook friends list and started clearing people out, not out of anger, but out of honesty. If we hadn't spoken in months, if they hadn't made an effort, why was I still holding space for them? And you know what's ironic? The moment I stopped posting and started cutting people out, suddenly the whispers began. Are you still friends with her? What happened? Funny how people notice when you go quiet, but not when you're hurting. That was when I learned something powerful. Quality over quantity. These days, I can count my true friends on one hand. And honestly, that's more than enough because they're solid. We don't talk every day. We don't have to, but we show up for each other. We see each other's value. We listen, we check in, and we grow together. Now, here's something I really want to say, and I want you to hear this clearly. If you're always the one initiating contact, if your messages are being left or not read, if you feel drained by friendship instead of uplifted, that's not friendship. That's emotional labor, and you don't need to carry that. The other thing is boundaries, because boundaries are important too, and I never really understood it until Lee kept saying to me, you got to have boundaries with everything in life. And real friendships require boundaries too. And I don't mean walls. I mean honest, respectful communication. If something's bothering you, say it. If a friend hurt you, talk about it. If you feel like the effort isn't mutual, bring it up. I feel uncomfortable about that, and it's scary at times too. Because sometimes I'll say something to Lee and he'll go, why didn't you say to them? And I'm like, well, I don't know how they would react because I'm not sure, a lot of people don't like confrontation, don't like to have those conversations. But honesty is the only way to build trust. If you're walking on eggshells, you're not in a safe friendship. You're just managing someone else's comfort at the cost of your own. I've had to learn that not everyone wants to hear the truth. Some people get defensive, some disappear. But the ones who are meant to be in your life, they'll listen, they'll reflect, they'll grow with you. And vice versa. Because if they feel the same about me and they need to say something, please say it. If you think it's said with kindness, with love, but say it. Because suppressing your needs to keep the peace, that's not peace. That is self-abandonment. And when it comes to setting boundaries, be clear, be firm, protect your energy. You're allowed to say, I don't have capacity right now. You're allowed to walk away from relationships that don't feel right. And you're allowed to prioritize your own well-being. I hear people say all the time, I feel like I have no friends. And my heart goes out to them. Because I felt that too. But here's what I've learned. You don't need 10 people, you need the right ones. Look around your community, join a walking group, attend a local event, grab coffee with someone new. Be open, but also be intentional. Know what kind of energy you want around you. And don't settle for less just to say you have someone. And lastly, check in with yourself. Be the kind of friend you want to have. Are you reliable? Are you honest? And are you present? Friendship is a two-way street. It's not about doing everything, but it's about showing up with authenticity. So if right now your circle is small, if you're still searching for your people, or if you're starting over, that's okay. It means you're growing, you're evolving, and you're making space for what truly aligns with the person you're becoming. You're not too much, and you're not hard to love. You're not alone. Your energy is sacred, and you deserve friendships that reflect that. Thank you so much for listening. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it too. Let's keep this conversation going. Remember, small circles, big love. You've got this. Until next time, stay kind, stay grounded, and always keep it real.